Hey everybody, it's Steph from Adventure in a Backpack. Today I want to talk about insurance, specifically insuring a DIY camper van, how we insured our DIY camper van, and what all is covered under that insurance. Now I do want to preface this with I am not an insurance agent or an insurance professional, nor an insurance expert, but I want to share with you my experiences on how we went about getting insurance coverage on our self-built camper van and what all is included in that insurance. So let's jump into the step-by-step. So first and foremost, during your build, hopefully some of you guys are watching this before you get started on your build, or you have the records available to do all of this. During your build, it's really, really important to keep all of your receipts and keep really good records of what all is going into the van. A lot of people will get caught up on only recording the bigger purchases rather than the small purchases, but those small purchases add up over time. And so if you buy a few $100s or a few $1,000s worth of little pieces like screws and bolts and things like that, handles for the cabinets, that all adds up. So you want to be making sure that you're keeping all of this record because you have to provide all of that to the insurance company. So what I did while we were building our camper van is I actually kept a spreadsheet of every single purchase we made, every return we made, everything that we did and spent money on for our van is recorded in that spreadsheet. Then I broke it out into components. So I broke it out into building the cabinets. So cabinets was one category, ceilings was another category, flooring was another category, plumbing was a different category, insulation. You see where I'm going with all of this. So when I sent it to the insurance company, it was all broken out by those categories, very well organized, and every penny was accounted for. They loved that. All they had to do was plug that into their numbers and they had all of the information. Once the build is complete, then you will be able to send all of that information to your insurance company. Now, when we did this, like I mentioned, we had the whole spreadsheet and then we were asked for pictures of the build. So they wanted interior pictures of every single angle that we could possibly get, and then exterior pictures of everything that we did. So they wanted to see the roof racks and bumpers that we added. They wanted to see the color change on the exterior that we did. And then they wanted to see the finished product of everything. So basically they want all of that for their underwriting department so that they can see exactly the quality, exactly that you did all of this and you have all of those records. So, and I will mention also that the insurance company never asked me for the receipts for all of the details, but she did tell me, my agent did tell me to go ahead and keep those on file just in case anything ever happens. We have all of that backup. So I literally have a drawer at Nathan's mom's house that is just stuffed full of our receipts. So I probably could have scanned them at some point, but I didn't. And there are so many of them. So keeping all of that record is really crucial to getting that insured. So going back to insuring, the actual insurance process after you have the van built, sending all of those documents to the insurance company. What they'll then do is re-underwrite the van purchase as a motorhome. Or at least this is what our insurance company decided to do. They rewrote the whole policy as a motorhome. When they did that, the only thing that's insured on this is the cost of all of the materials. So the 3 months worth of labor that we put into it was nothing. It's not added to the build. So it's only the cost of it. I believe that's different if you have an upfitter do it. because you then have an invoice for the labor. But since it was our own, it was a self-built camper van, none of that is insured. So, and that's not the best. Like, we're not incredibly happy with that, but we're fine with it. It's not the end of the world. If anything were to happen to our van and it was a total loss, then we would only get paid out for the cost of the materials. And that kind of stinks, but we understand it. Now, that being said, so our van costs about $40,000 to build, not including our labor. So that's what it's insured for, is about $40,000. And that costs us about $60 a month for our insurance premium. That's full coverage, including towing, and let's see, we have a $1,000 deductible. The next step that we did when we insured our vehicle was registering it with the state of Colorado. So that's where our residency is in Colorado, and so we registered the van in Colorado. What we did is we actually retitled the van. Instead of as a cargo van, we retitled it as a motorhome. In order to do that, we had to have a couple of pieces of information, and we went back to we actually only made 2 trips to the DMV, which is probably a record for us for insurance or registering vehicles, but it was a pretty simple process. So in the state of Colorado, for a self-built camper van, what we needed to have was, first and foremost, a VIN verification for the van. The second thing we needed was a certified weight slip. So after the van was built out, we had to run it across the scales and have the weight certified on that. The third thing that we needed was an emissions test. And of course, all of this varies state by state, so you'll want to check on your specific state. But most of the states that require emissions testing, it depends on the year. So our van is 10 years old, so it definitely needed emissions testing, so we had to do that. Then the last thing that we needed to do was a statement of the changes that we made on the van to convert it from a van to a homemade camper. And the state of Colorado has a form for that. It is form number DR 2409, a statement of assembly of a homemade trailer. So essentially you fill out that form and state what all changes you made. And in order for it to be classified as a camper van or a camper, a motorhome, it has to have 4 of 6 requirements in it. And I can't remember exactly the requirements, and I could not find it online. We didn't find any of this information online when we did it. We actually went to the DMV, talked to them first, and then went back and did all of it correctly. But just from my memory, we had to have plumbing, we had to have electrical lighting permanently run into the van. We had to have flooring. We had to have an oven or stove, some kind of way of cooking, permanently mounted in the van, a refrigerator, and there was one more thing. Let's see. Cabinets. There had to be. Oh no! It wasn't cabinets. It was bed. It was a sleeping area. So you had to have 4 of those 6 items. We actually had 5 of the 6. The only one that we didn't have was the permanently mounted oven or stove, because our stove is removable. So of all of that, you just have to write that down and certify it yourself. It's a statement of fact. No one goes out and inspects that from the DMV, but I will say that it's not a good idea to lie about that kind of stuff, because if something were to happen to your van and you have this statement of fact saying that you certified that you put all of the stuff into it, then that could be insurance fraud, or they could just not cover it or whatever. your insurance, because all of this is for the DMV, but at the end of the day, you'll send this title to the insurance company, which will then use it to insure your vehicle as a motorhome. So again, you don't want to lie about any of this. You don't want to lie to the insurance company about what you're doing, about how much you're spending, things like that. Even if they're not verifying exactly, it's just never a really good idea to lie. We were completely straightforward with our insurance company with everything, that we were going to be living in this full time, that we did not have another residence that we were living in. We did not have a permanent address, anything like that. So we were completely straightforward with all of them, or with all of this information. And this is what we ended up doing. Our insurance agent actually also subscribes to our blog. So if we were to lie about any of this, she would know. So all of that actually is just the build out of the van. So that $60 a month insurance payment only covers the build out of the van and the van itself. So obviously they're living in the van. We have a lot more contents other than just the build out, other than just the cabinets and the bed and stuff like that. So we added a personal articles policy to cover more of the contents. So the first thing right off the top that we did was added $10,000 of coverage for contents. And we have that split up into $5,000 of it is categorized as personal effects, and $5,000 of that is categorized as luggage. So luggage would be things like your clothing, your shoes, suitcases, stuff like that. Personal effects would be things like our dishes and, that's actually all I can think of at the moment. But, but things that are essentially everything not luggage. So could be like replacing, like if this was a total loss in an accident or a fire or whatever, it would cover replacing everything from towels to toiletries to dishes to our stove, everything that's in here. In addition to that, we have about $10,000 to $15,000 in specific items covered. So any of our large purchases, we add them to our personal articles policy specifically. So things like our mountain bikes or camera gear or computers, things like that are large purchases that could potentially get lost or damaged pretty easily, or stolen. We want to cover those specifically. And that policy, the personal articles policy, it's separate from our auto policy. And so it's actually covering things even when they're not inside the van. So if we're out paddling and we lose a GoPro in the river, that's covered. That actually did happen, and State Farm covered it, no problem, no questions asked. It was just where did this happen? Was it recoverable? End of story. So it's already come in handy that we have this policy on all of this gear. And since we are going out and having adventures all the time and doing things that could potentially damage our cameras or lose GoPros or, our bikes could get stolen, things like that, we want all of this to be very well insured. So with all of that, let's see, that was somewhere around $20,000 to $25,000 of additional insurance on top of our auto policy. That policy itself is about $50 a month as well. So we're paying total about $110 a month on our insurance policies. And for that, we're pretty well, in my opinion, we're pretty well covered if there were to be a complete loss of the van or even just partial losses of things. So I think it's a really important thing to do to have a really good understanding of your insurance and what it covers in case of a total loss or in case of an accident and things like that. That all being said, I don't think I mentioned the insurance company that we have. So we have State Farm, And State Farm has been great to us. They, like I mentioned, they know everything that we're doing. They know that we're living in this van full time. They know that we're traveling all the time, and they haven't had any problems with it at all. So they're in Colorado. The one we're insured and registered in Colorado. So all of this information is variable by state, it's variable by agent, it's definitely variable by insurance company. So I really highly recommend talking to somebody and understanding what you're getting before you fill out the insurance paperwork. I don't recommend going online and just getting an auto policy online, because you definitely will not be covered in the event of a total loss. If you have a build out in your van and you're not covering it in your insurance policy, then it's not going to be covered if you do get into an accident. Also, I have been told that if you do that, if you go online and get an insurance policy and then they find out later on that you were living in it full time and you never told them, then the insurance company more than likely will not cover it at all, because essentially you lied to them. So again, I will say that it's never a good idea to lie to your insurance company. It's never a good idea to lie to the DMV. Just go ahead and tell them the truth and ask what your options are, and hopefully somebody will help you out like they helped us. I really hope this video was helpful to you guys in getting insurance and answering some of your insurance questions. If you have any additional questions for me or comments, drop them in the comments section below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye-bye. How do I conclude this?
We hope all of this helps you insure your van. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below.
Oh, yes, I always forget that.
If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Be sure to give us a thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe, turn on your notifications bell. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Okay. Subscribe, notifications bell.
Questions,
comments down below. Like, thumbs up, notification bell.